So much of Africa's talent is offshore. Some of them studied offshore, some of them work offshore, and many of them have become great offshore. But they want to come home. They want to be in their home countries, working for companies in their countries close to their families. Here to talk to us about winning them back is Eric Van Gils. Eric, thank you so much for joining me on scottcundill.com.
Thanks, Scotty. Thanks for having me today. It's good to be here. Yeah, I mean, we're finding more and more of the Africa talent that is based across the world. You know, a lot of some of our best talent is actually working in developed markets, in more sort of advanced markets in Europe or in the US. And they're actually interested in coming home. And we're finding more and more when we talk to them about the right opportunities, when we talk to them about interesting challenges that the continent's facing, that often they're very open to considering opportunities and careers back on the continent and often back in their own countries.
So let's talk about how the pandemic has affected this as well, because already you've got a situation where you've got some great talent offshore. They might have been working for banks, big companies. They've really become great. Like, what is enticing them? Is it the pandemic? Is it family? Is it just opportunities? And also, what is stopping them from coming home?
Sure. So, I mean, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, and obviously each case has got its own uniqueness, but I mean, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, one thing, obviously the global markets are not as great as they used to be. So you know, some of the developed markets, that there's not a massive demand anymore for certain skills. You've got banks in various parts of the world retrenching. You've got large corporates retrenching. So one of the things is the fact that these individuals may have been affected by the economy in some of those countries. So it's not as appealing to be there. In other words, they're not in as much demand. But on the other side, what we're finding, which is very, very interesting, and I've seen this recently with a couple of candidates I've spoken to, is that, you know, they've spent this time now in lockdown, sitting in a small flat in London for the last couple of months, and they actually start to think about their longer term career, where they actually want to end up being. And as a candidate said to me yesterday, no, you know, this has made him realize he actually wants to come back to Africa and spend the rest of his career in the country where he was born. And I think this sort of COVID thing has kind of almost made people reevaluate their lives, reevaluate where they want to spend their lives and what they want to do with it. So it's a combination. And I think on top of that, you know, the optimism on the continent and the expected growth that the continent has got also gives these guys something to come back to, and something that appeals to them. So it's a couple of those factors, but we're kind of finding that with this whole COVID thing, it's almost becoming a bit of a perfect storm where we're finding more and more guys interested in actually coming back to the continent.
It's great to hear. And let's face it, a lot of the world is kind of crumbling in many areas and rebuilding and starting to rebuild. But Africa has always been a place that's been in a rebuild growth phase. Now, from a South African company perspective, what's in it for them to bring overseas talent back?
Sure. I mean, I think what we've seen with a lot of our clients is that they like to get individuals who have maybe they've studied internationally, so they've got a really good international university behind their name. They've often had exposure in an international market to some of the sort of cutting edge, or how things are done in a massively developed market. And yet they've often grown up in an African country, so understand some of the culture nuances, and maybe even often can speak the language. So the local companies in South Africa and across the continent are saying, well, this is an opportunity. We can get somebody who's got this best practice understanding, developed country knowledge, yet can step into a local country and still get on with the local people, understand local people, and also understand some of the nuances, because there's definitely nuances in each of the African countries.
I've noticed that with many interviews that I've done in the past as well, and speaking to, you know, players in Africa, they've noticed that localization is key. You know, having local talent is extremely important for that reason: language, culture, etc., etc. So that makes perfect sense. So then, just the second half of the question was, what does a company in Africa need to do to entice them back? Is it purely about money, or are there other ways and means that they can bring them back? And how do you locate them?
Sure. So I think money is always important. What I am realizing is that the guys that are working internationally, often in very expensive locations, understand that they're not going to do a like-for-like salary swap. The salary is going to need to be appealing, but what I'm finding often is more appealing, or is the way that companies can attract them, is the challenges that are located on the continent. And when I talk about that, I mean, if we think briefly about fintech, some of the amazing payments, businesses and systems that are being set up to address some of Africa's challenges. So somebody who's maybe doing some of these things in a European market could get given the opportunity to set something up from scratch on the continent. And that could be anything. I mean, that could be setting up a telco, setting up a bank, or stepping into a bank, telco, or any industry that is going to, or is ready to kind of step up what it's doing. And I think for the individual, it gives them an opportunity to take some of the stuff they've learned off the continent and bring it back and actually apply it to their home country or to the place where they grew up. And that appeals to them as well. So positioning that opportunity, I think, is where the magic is where countries can get these guys to come back. And how we find it is through our talent mapping process. And that's where we will actually go out into some of these countries or have a look at some of these countries off the continent and identify Nigerians or Zambians or Kenyans who are working in those markets and actually speak to them and engage with them about coming back and what the interest in that is.
So winning them back is obviously an important part of what you do at Holborn. I understand that, as well as the talent mapping. Can you just dive a little bit deeper into what talent market mapping actually is?
Yeah, sure. I mean, what I always say to clients is I say, if you go, you want to buy something, you want to buy a house or something like it, you don't just look at two houses and pick between one of them. You want to get an idea of what's actually available. And I mean, the talent market isn't as transparent as we think it is. So even people in certain industries are not always aware of what talent is available. So our talent market mapping process or solution is literally about giving the client a view or giving the client insight into what does the market look like and what is possible. In other words, if I'm looking for a person to come in and run my global markets business in Nigeria, and I would like to ideally get a Nigerian, what does the market of Nigerians who have got global markets experience look like? And often the talent mapping would look at Nigeria to start with. We would then also start looking broader. So we would then go look in specific. We might have a look in Sydney. We might have a look in London. We might have a look in New York. Sometimes we even have a look. A lot of African talent moves around the continent. So we might even have a look in Nairobi and in Johannesburg. And then come back to the client and say, well, this is what's available. These are the Nigerians or the individuals that are suitable for this. And this is where they found them in these. And then also, these are the guys that are interested. So we might come back and say, guess what? There are two sitting in London. One of them doesn't want to move back, but the other one is quite open to it. And for the right opportunity would be keen and also is interested in your brand. Because that's another thing. It's fine for them to want to come back to their home country, but we also need to sort of assess whether they are interested in the client's brand. And how they see that brand and as that as an opportunity to come back to.
So by brand, Eric, are you referring to, and this was really interesting in your article, what you call the employee value proposition? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So what does that organization offer? And it's more than just the sort of fringe benefits or that sort of thing. It could be a way of working. It could be they are the biggest growing whatever in that country. It could be that they are the established, market player in that country and they're looking to expand in West Africa. So we see the EVP as, yes, it's the basic stuff. It's the basic sort of medical aid or medical benefits and that thing. But it's even more than that. It's actually what is the value that they're going to offer to an executive coming in. So what is that executive going to get out of that? And we work a bit with the clients on how do we position that, understanding what they're doing at the moment. Often what we find is they don't even know how appealing what they're doing is. So often we'll talk to them about that and then actually say to them, well, wow, you're actually doing some amazing stuff. We've got to make sure that we use that and we communicate that to the candidates in the foreign markets, so that they sort of realize that there's some great, exciting stuff happening.
I think you just hit the nail on the head there. And for me, the exciting thing about Africa is that Africa is growing. And because it's growing and it's because it's becoming, it's so vibrant. And if brands can understand that the vibrancy and the growth that is happening within Africa is one of the key parts of attracting these people, I think that's really going to help them with that EVP. And I think that overseas candidates want to work in a vibrant, exciting growth place. And if that happens to be home, just it's a win-win for everybody. Just to finish off, Eric, tell us a little bit about Holborn.
Sure. So, Holborn Advisory is an African-based, African-owned executive search firm. We've worked across 20 countries across the continent. Those are most of the largest sort of countries and bigger economies. We've placed individuals into clients from CEOs, country heads, chief financial officers, chief commercial officers, chief information officers. Essentially what we fundamentally see ourselves doing is partnering with clients to identify the right executive talent to help them to grow their businesses and help them to manage their businesses. And the talent market mapping is one of the solutions we use to do that.
Thank you, Eric. So last question, how can people get hold of you?
Sure. So, the people are welcome to visit our website, www.holborn, holbourne.co.za. They are welcome to email me. I'm Eric, eric.vangils@holborn.co.za. And what we would love to do is understand their business, listen to what they're sort of thinking and where they are, and then come up with some sort of bespoke solution to help them to understand what the market looks like and ultimately to bring the right talent into their business.
Eric Van Gils, thank you so much for joining me on scottcundill.com.
Thanks, Scott. It was good to chat, and thanks for the opportunity.